DNT Hydra. This is a thermal for well under $1,000 that I've been very impressed with. Now, thermal, of course, works in the daylight or the dark. So we came out here before dark. We're going to shoot it a little bit in the day, and then we're going to shoot it at night. Hence the night vision. Thermal is absolutely amazing. And don't click off the video just yet. I know it's kind of a niche thing, but it's not nearly as expensive as you might think. Technology has really improved in the last few years, and thermals that once cost thousands of dollars now cost, well, $7.99. I mean, you could barely get a good LPVO for $7.99, and this thing is a full-featured 3-in-1 thermal. This is the DNT Hydra. And when I say 3-in-1, what I mean is the different ways you can use it. So I've used it mainly as just a handheld thermal. I was doing that for a few weeks before I ever mounted it to a rifle. And then as a standalone thermal rifle optic. But you can also use it as a clip-on in front of a day optic like an LPVO, and it'll work great that way as well. I mainly used it as a standalone because of what I do on this channel. I'm testing an LPVO on a different rifle, and I just wanted to test the thermal the way it was. And also, I don't feel like you need to add more magnification to this. It has plenty of magnification as it is. It starts at 3x and goes to 12x, which is plenty for the distance that you're going to be shooting a thermal at. So before we get into the specifics of the DNT Hydra, this specific thermal, which I think is honestly a very incredible value. I never thought I'd be able to afford a thermal that was decent quality, and this thing is amazing. This is not the first thermal I've used, but it might be the most impressive, and it's much cheaper than the other one I tried out. So that right there is incredible, but why thermal? You know, versus like night vision. You guys know I love night vision. My Ricks RNV31s, I use them all the time. They're fantastic, but night vision and thermal are two different things. Although they do, in a way, accomplish very similar goals. With thermal, you can see in the dark. But what you're seeing is not just, so night vision, you know, enhances whatever little bit of ambient light might be available to let you see in the dark. Well, thermal, I mean, it's in the name, thermal. It sees thermal signatures, and what it shows you is the differences between thermal signatures of whatever's out there. And everything is a different, you know, temperature. I wondered what that would be like when it came to shooting steel targets at night, because I was like, well, unless I heat them up or something, will I even see them? Oh yes, I could see them just fine. In fact, I could see the paint versus where rounds had hit and where there wasn't paint anymore, because the thermal signature is different in those. And in fact, I could even see when I was zeroing it with a paper target, I couldn't see the detail drawn on the target because, you know, it's a sticker, whatever, it's all the same temperature. But what I could see is I could see where the hot lead went through that target. That spot where I hit would show up for a couple minutes while I was zeroing it. Made the zeroing process very easy. And we're going to talk about how you zero this thing because it is ridiculously easy. The funny thing is, whenever I get one of these digital optics into review, I'm always a little bit like overwhelmed by it at first because I'm really used to regular LPVOs, Neotechs, and red dots and zeroing them and using them. It's very simple. I always feel like a digital optic is, just a little much to grasp, but you know what? It's actually very easy to use. And this video is sponsored by Aura in very much the same way that a thermal lets you detect threats that you can't normally see and take care of those threats. Well, Aura does the same thing. Literally, the threats on the internet that you can't see, that you don't know if they're there or not, Aura finds them and takes care of them for you. That's the biggest thing they do, is they go online and they find anywhere where your information has been leaked, and I promise you it has. 2025, all of us have information that's out there, unless you have Aura. My information isn't out there anymore because I've been using Aura for like a year and a half. And Aura, the first thing they did, the first day that I downloaded it and got it, well, they took my information off the internet, so it's not being bought and sold by data brokers anymore. So I don't get spam calls anymore. I don't get scams anymore. All that stuff, my email, no spam emails. It's freaking sweet, and it's only $12 a month, but you can get it absolutely free for 2 weeks. Try it out at aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. First link in the description. But they do a lot more than that as well. They give you a VPN, which is honestly a really good thing to have these days. Browse the internet anonymously and securely. A password manager, home title monitoring, parental controls, whatever you want as far as digital security, Aura has it. They package it all together, like I said, for just $12 a month, instead of paying for all these services separately. They're all services that you kind of need in this day and age. Aura just gives them all to you for dirt cheap. 50 cents a day, less than that. You know what I mean? But try it out, see if you like it or not. At the first link in the description, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. So let's talk about what the DNT Hydra does. This thing is honestly very impressive. It's, like I said, for a long time I didn't look too much into thermal because I thought it was so expensive. $7.99 with code SAVE10. Pretty freaking sweet. Now, what does it do? Well, let's talk about that zeroing process first, because that gives us an idea of it's a digital optic. So it's digital zoom. Everything is digital. I mean, as you can see, it's a thermal sensor on the front. You're not looking through a piece of glass. But it's a digital optic that's very easy to use. Only 4 buttons here, power, and 3 other buttons. Now, I have accidentally hit the power button and put it into standby while I was using it. So just like anything, it does take some training. But it's very nice in how simple it is. You can do everything with these 3 buttons. As long as you memorize what the buttons do in the different situations. You can use it at night when you can't see, as long as you can feel those buttons. And they're placed in a way that is about as far as your fingers would be. So you can kind of feel up there, know which buttons you're on. That's really easy. Now when it comes to zeroing it, like I said, I could see where the hot lead had gone through my cardboard. And so then you take a shot, you see where that lead is, you put your reticle back on where your point of aim was, and you can freeze the screen. And then literally just use these buttons to move your reticle over to where your point of impact was, hit save, and then you're zeroed. You can literally do it in one shot if you're good enough at it. I did it in about 3, just because I wanted to make sure, because it almost seemed too good to be true that I could zero it with one shot. But honestly, you can. It's that easy. Now, all these other things, you have a record button here. Hold that down until you start seeing the clock ticking and you're recording. I'm gonna have first person footage in this video of that. Hopefully that is pretty cool. It's pretty rad that you can record what you're doing while you're doing it. It's freaking sweet, especially for like hunting applications. And it actually has a recoil activated record mode if you want. I didn't use that because I was specifically trying to get footage for this video. But say you're out hunting, put that on, When you take a shot, it starts the recording 10 seconds before you take that shot, so you get your kill shot on film. Pretty sweet. And hunting is honestly probably the best use for this thing, because what you get with thermal that's different than night vision is, again, those thermal signatures. What has a very different thermal signature than the background of the great outdoors? Animals. Animals are warm. People are warm. That's another possible situation for it. You can detect living things very easily with this. Now, looking through it, the resolution is honestly pretty incredible. They have, what do they call it? Super resolution AI algorithm. I don't really know what all that is. All I know is that it looks pretty damn good looking through it, even zooming in on it. And as you guys know, with digital zoom, sometimes that is, well, not always the case, which is why if you are using it as a clip-on in front of an LPVO, you probably don't want to zoom in on your LPVO, because you're just going to basically make those pixels bigger. Whereas the digital zoom on this is meant to, it's meant to zoom with pixels. It just does a better job than zooming in on those pixels would. Another reason I didn't really use it as a clip-on, I think if you were going to, it would be good with like either a QD mount, so you could just pull it off and use your LPVO, or QD it on, or with a mount where you could flip it to the side, kind of like, like you have with a magnifier behind a red dot or an EOTech. I think that would work really well. Now, as just a handheld standalone thermal, I took it camping, and it was really cool to be able to scan the mountains and tell what kind of wildlife was out there. Now, unfortunately, I didn't record any of that. I didn't start recording with it till I started shooting with it, because mostly what I wanted to do was take it out and use it without really reading the directions first, and just see how intuitive it was, and it was pretty dang easy to use. When it came to shooting with it, I did have to read the instruction book, which is very easy to understand. It took me a few minutes, honestly, and then I went out shooting, and I pretty much had it down. I brought this with me just in case, and I didn't even need it. The zeroing process was easy, the zoom was easy, recording was easy. You can switch between 4 different modes. You have white hot, you have black hot, red hot, and iron hot. And each one of them is unique. And I think that the white hot looked the most natural and the best to me. And also the black hot. I like the white hot the best. What can I say? It just, the other ones are kind of like Predator vision. Like, if you've seen the Predator movies from the 80s, that's what like the red hot and the iron hot look like to me. Like, we literally have Predator vision now for less than $800. Pretty incredible. And honestly, if you were in a Predator type situation, it's IP67 waterproof, and it is recoil rated up to 50 BMG. So on this, 16-inch 5.56 rifle, not an issue. This thing would be great for hog hunting, or honestly, almost any kind of hunting. I think mostly probably within 200 or 300 yards. The farther out I would scan with it, the less detail I would see. It is a very unique optic, and it's different than looking through a piece of glass. It's something that you do need to get used to a little bit, but it's pretty quick and easy to get used to it. So one of the things about filming night vision is waiting for it to get dark enough. Luckily, tonight, we're filming thermal. And thermal works both in the day and at night. But it has gotten to the point now, let's take a look down here. You can't really see these targets anymore. It's that dark. So, we're gonna see how the thermal does. Now, shooting with it was, I mean, honestly, very intuitive, very easily. Funny thing was, so sometimes when I go out shooting at night, the brain goes out the window a little bit because there's just a lot to deal with. Shooting at night is different than shooting during the day. The cool thing about thermal is that it's not just night vision. Thermal doesn't see, it senses thermal signature. So it doesn't care if it's dark or light out. You can use thermal during the day or at night. Unlike night vision where like literally it's got to be dark to really use it. Thermal is not that way. So I shot it during the daylight and in the dark. And the funny thing was, so to zero it, I had it zoomed in to like 12x. Because I was trying to zero at 50 yards. And like I said, I couldn't see the detail on my target because it's a sticker on a piece of cardboard. That sticker is all the same temperature. And so I felt like if I zoomed in on it, well, aim for the middle of that target. That's how I zeroed it. Pretty easy. Funny thing was, once I started shooting, and I was shooting at about 40 yards because both of the spots that I would have wanted to shoot for this video where I could shoot out to hundreds of yards, both were taken at freaking like 9 o'clock at night. It's crazy. I mean, I'm glad people are out shooting, but it meant that I didn't have as much of long distance to shoot at as I hoped to. So I was shooting at about 40 yards on a tripod, which honestly makes it pretty dang easy, but I think that would be a great setup for hunting. And it was really, really easy. Funny thing was, is when I started, I still had it in that 12x zoom. So I'm zooming in on 3 different steel targets at 40 yards on 12x. And had to kind of like remember where my targets were. It was really easy to transition to them. But once I realized that I was zoomed way in and I backed it off to 3x, man, was it easy. I mean, it was easy at 12x, but like the digital zoom on this, that's what I mean, where it's pretty dang good, where even at 12x, I didn't really notice that I needed to zoom back out because the resolution was actually pretty dang good. As you can see, I'm mostly saying good things about this. And the reason why, for one, I don't have a whole lot of experience with thermal. This is the second thermal I've used. The first one was actually a clip-on thermal imager for the night vision, a much more expensive unit. And this one has been easier for me to use. Nothing against the clip-on. I mean, it was very cool for detection. You know, you have night vision and, well, in both eyes, and thermal in one also. That is very like future soldier kind of stuff, and it's crazy. I liked having my night vision, be able to flip them up, look through the thermal, or just take this out as a thermal monocular, like I said when I was camping, as just a handheld unit. It is very cool and very useful in that way. And at the price point of $799, dude, I mean, that's just crazy. Thermals, and I've seen other videos that other channels have done on this same thermal. Guys that have more experience with thermal than I do, and they all say the same thing, that for the features and the resolution and the quality of the image and just the usability of this, that it compares to much, much more expensive units. So if you thought that thermal was something that you couldn't afford to get into, you probably can. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna build another $3,000 AR, you could definitely afford an $800 thermal. It's pretty freaking sweet, and it gives you a capability that, well, unless you already have thermal, that you don't have. And if you don't have night vision or thermal, well, this does let you see in the dark. That's the thing about thermal is, you know, it just sees those differences in heat signature. And so, in a way, it is a type of night vision. You can see in the dark as well as you can during the day with it. One of the coolest things about starting this YouTube channel is the opportunities I've gotten to try stuff that maybe I wouldn't normally spend my money on just to see if I like it or not. And thermal is one of those things. I've never bought a thermal, but the fact that I've had the opportunity to get to try this thing out and use it has been really incredible, to be honest. And for one thing, that is all due to you guys that are subscribed to the channel and and watch my videos. If it wasn't for you guys, companies wouldn't want to send me this kind of stuff. And so I really appreciate that. And then I also really appreciate the companies that send me this kind of stuff, like DNT. The DNT Hydra is honestly an amazing capability that you get for, yeah, I mean, not like $800 is chump change, but it's honestly, like I said, like cheaper than a lot of LPVOs, cheaper than the optics set up on my Mark 18 there. And it definitely does things that an EOTech and a magnifier cannot do, which is pretty cool. I mean, I can't see in the dark through that optic unless I'm wearing this night vision. With this, you can use it during the day or at night just fine, and at pretty good distances. I had, as you've probably seen throughout this video by now, no problem frickin' ringing steel with this thing all day and all night long. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Let me know down in the comments if you have experience with thermal or not. And if you have experience with the DNT Hydra, because from what I've seen, the research I've done, is people have been very impressed with this. People that actually know more about thermal than I do. I'm very impressed with it, but of course, I don't have a whole lot of experience with thermal, but this thing is crazy. My daughter has loved using this. Not shooting with it, but just when we were using it as a handheld monocular. Like, it's just very cool to be able to be out there and be like, yep, I don't see any mountain lions around. I think we're pretty safe. That's a nice thing to know. But yeah, from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.